John Catanzara, the president of Chicago FOP Lodge 7, said he voted for Eileen Burke for state's attorney.
Uh-oh.
He also said that Clayton Harris would be a step up from Kim Foxx, which drew responses from both campaigns distancing themselves from John Catanzara for being complimentary.
Right, yeah.
The Burke campaign rejected his endorsement, called his comments inappropriate. I voted for you. That's inappropriate.
That is hate speech. I don't feel safe.
The spokeshuman for Burke's campaign, given the working relationship between the state's attorney's office and the Chicago Police Department, it was inappropriate for the FOP to issue this political statement. What? But here's my question, though. I mean, seriously.
Oh, my God.
The battered wife syndrome in Chicago and Illinois politics, please accept my endorsement. Oh, no, you're the police.
So, no, we don't want it.
I can't be affiliated with the police in a race in the Democrat Socialist primary for Cook County State's Attorney.
And Cook County State's attorneys work with police and investigators. Okay. And then Burke's campaign claimed that Harris met with FOP leaders and asked for their support. Oh, the drama.
And then Harris claimed that Burke's being funded by Republicans, and this is an example of it because Catanzara has been, said positive things about Republicans and Trump and was critical of Democrats. And I mean,
it's such a soap. This is so Chicago.
But I mean, my question, with all due respect,
yes, sir,
is why would John Catanzara? Why would he bother? I mean, he's this is the battered wife, the political version of the battered wife syndrome. Mm-hmm. Why are you wanting to help Burke? Why not just say not Harris, because that's a continuation of Fox, if that's what you believe, which is what I believe, or stay out of it altogether, or say, look, both of these people and Fioretti in the general election have to prove that they're going to represent a change in the way that laws are enforced in Cook County. So what do we have to go on? I mean, I guess we have Burke's judicial records, pretty thin, and we have Clayton Harris's statements, which are generally pretty concerning and pretty indicative that it will be a continuation of the same. Maybe he's slightly more competent, but he's still
same policies,
Preckwinkle backed and identitarian oriented. All right, well, let's talk to him. John Catanzara, Chicago FOP president. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. So what are you doing?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, here's the simple thought. Remaining silent wasn't an option. We did that with the mayor's race, and look how that happened. It's just a fact, because if we don't say anything, if I don't say anything, and I represent 17,000 members, period, and if Clayton Harris ends up winning, the first thing I would be challenged for is not saying anything about this race. Why did we stay out of it? And I was at a forum, and this is probably the genesis of all of this, with the Michigan Avenue Retail Association. So it was all the hotel GMs, all the store owners, bigwigs along Michigan Avenue. And both candidates were there. And the reality is Clayton Harris prefaces this by saying, I understand the audience I'm speaking to when I say this, but he was asked about the shoplifting threshold for $1,000 against the statute, and he says he agrees with Kim Foxx's policy on that. I mean, how tone deaf can you possibly be to say that to them? It'd be like saying I don't agree with a murder charge to a room of law enforcement officers. It was so stupid, but nonetheless,
but
he
he's
said
telling
it.
the truth. But that's what he's going to do, though.
No, right.
But it's not stupid. What he's telling you, and what Eileen Burke is telling you, and what Clayton Harris is telling you, you don't matter. I don't understand why people don't get that. You don't matter. I'm here to present okay, yeah, I care about business people and so on and so forth, but you are down the pecking order. I have a constituency that has nothing to do with you and is more important than you. That's what they're saying to retailers. That's what they're saying to police.
No. The judge, to be clear, the judge did not say that. Clayton Harris said that.
I understand, but that's I get it. So Clayton Harris is saying it in this instance, but the judge is saying it in your instance.
Well, no, the judge was very clear that she's going to follow the statute of felony shoplifting.
No. In your interest in saying, John Catanzara, I reject his endorsement. He shouldn't say he voted for me.
I mean, I understand their statement. I mean, there is a fear, and you are right to some degree. It's a little ludicrous at this point that they're so fearful of being pro law enforcement, and me specifically. And of course, you knew they couldn't wait to go back to the Trump days and all of that nonsense, yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. But I made an offer to both of those candidates because I spoke to them both after they were done, and I said, if you are interested, I will do everything I can to get a representative from every law enforcement agency in Cook County at the FOP for a forum where you can speak directly to every single police department in the county. Neither one of them took me up on that.
So what does that tell you?
There's a fear that, and I understand. They prefaced it also by saying, if there's misconduct, they're going to be in charge. She is going to be in charge with charging an officer for misconduct. We understand that, and we weren't asking, okay, our person, we got the winner, and now we expect this X, Y, and Z. We expect the state's attorney to do their job and follow through on the hard work that the men and women, specifically of the Chicago Police Department, but in this whole county, do, and make sure that criminals stay in jail. There's still a chink in the armor here because the police are doing yeoman's work every single day. Now it's literally a state's attorney who picks and chooses winners and losers, and then the judges. So, there's some great judges, there's some horrible judges, but the policy set forth by Tim Evans is a whole other problem here. So even if we have a much better state's attorney that's doing the right thing, we still have that problem with the policies from Tim Evans down the line at the court system. So
you guys never met with Burke or with Harris. Have you met with Bob Fioretti?
Who hasn't? Bob's everywhere.
Well, I mean, are you going to be supporting him in the general election?
No.
Why not?
There's no chance. As I said,
just say it.
Snowball's got a better chance in hell. It's just it's a sad reality. Bob is a perpetual candidate at this point. I don't know why, but I wish there was other options, but there isn't.
Well, on that point, I mean, this is my constant lament of the Republican Party, which I know is that's not your bailiwick, but the principle applies here. You see, these Republican donors coming in for Eileen Burke, like Craig Duchessois and stuff like that, just like we did with Vallis, and they completely don't understand the landscape. But that's fine; it's their money to waste. They can do whatever they want. Here's an idea: when you look at how a race is shaping up after 8 years of Kim Foxx. Maybe FOP takes the lead. Maybe some civic leaders that have significant business interests take the lead. I don't really care who takes the lead. But maybe say, you know what? We should put together a little coalition group to try to recruit a candidate or two that we think could actually be viable and could do things like restore the rule of law in Chicago and not be a toady for the police or just enforce the law and fight with the judges as necessary to make sure that habitual violent criminals are removed from the streets. That's all we want to do. If we could just accomplish that, then we could make material improvement in the city very quickly. But so why doesn't that ever happen from your perspective?
Well, I don't really worry about party affiliations. To be quite honest.
I'm not talking about party affiliation either. I'm talking. I could be a Democrat.
But I think we have that candidate.
Get together.
I think we have that candidate in Judge Burke. I really do. I think it's going to be a night and day difference from where the state's attorney's office is now to where it could be under her. Period.
Why do you believe that?
Because everybody I have spoken to personally about her professional mindset, whether it's state's attorneys, whether it's private practice attorneys, everybody has a glowing recommendation of her just basic moral values. And I
Okay.
think,
Well, so should we all
again,
pull a Democratic primary ballot? I've been thinking about it.
yeah, yes, absolutely. That's what I encouraged all of our membership to do. And the funny part is now they're calling that election interference. I mean, typical. But again, Clayton Harris reached out to my PAC director, but he's going to sit there and then say he wasn't seeking our endorsement. It's just BS. And it just goes to question his honesty, which isn't surprising because he's a Preckwinkle plant.
Well,
But
well, I've heard from people that know Burke too, and they say nice things about her, and that's wonderful. But I mean, from my experience, when people, and this was a problem with Vallis too, by the way. So there's a recent example in case this is a new concept to some people listening. My experience is when candidates are cowardly and disingenuous when they're running, but think they're being real clever politically, it doesn't translate well to when they get elected. That's a tell in terms of who they are. So they may be a wonderful person, a wonderful family person, and they do great things, and they're involved in charity, and they have an honor code with respect to how they govern their lives. Except in politics, you have to be courageous. And I'm from her candidacy. It is not exactly exuding courage. So I would just say, okay, it's great to have all these testimonials from people she's worked with, professional colleagues and some. But when somebody is behaving like a coward as a candidate, you can bet more times than not that they're going to behave the same way in public office. That's all I'll say.
I understand what you're saying, but it is still politics at the end of the day. And you can stand up and you can say, I'm for X, Y, and Z. That doesn't mean you're going to get elected. You still have to win the race. And there is absolutely still a mindset in this population that the police are bad and sad, but many of them get all their information from the little thing that I'm talking to you on right now. Mm-hmm. And that's the extent of their world. They are very minimally informed on what really matters and what's really happening in this city and in this county. That's just the state of politics today.
I know, but you're sorry to interrupt, but you're never going to move that needle in terms of persuasion if only one side, the anti-police side, is making the argument. You have to have people that make the arguments.
But you can't stand solely on just principle and lose and change the needle either. You have to do it from the inside.
I'm not saying that. But rejecting your endorsement, I mean, is such a tell. I mean, it's so unnecessary. I'm not saying you have to William Jennings Bryan yourself on the foot of the FOP, but rejecting your endorsement, it's unnecessary. It speaks of fear.
Well, there's no doubt. And listen, the Vallis campaign, and I personally became good friends with Paul, and it was very frustrating from the outside looking in when he has political advisors telling him to distance himself from the police and from the FOP and from John Catanzara. And literally the Mr. Rogers routine of, trying to be friends with everybody instead of standing for something cost him the race, in my opinion.
Cost him the race. He was being political.
Comments about Ron DeSantis.
He was being political.
Stupid.
He was pandering to all the right people to pander to, and then what happened?
Well, but politics is a blood sport, and if you're not willing to throw some haymakers on a regular basis and just to start throwing light jabs, I think that's what ended up happening here. But I don't think that that's necessarily the case here. I think she's very outspoken about what she believes law enforcement and literally law and order needs to be going forward. That's refreshing. So it's a delicate balance between, you don't want to seem like you're 100%, lock them up and law enforcement's the best thing.
No, I got it. Are you
going to run for mayor again sometime?
Again, he didn't run for it.
No, he didn't. You were thinking about it, though.
I was strongly considering it, and he's already got me strongly considering it because I didn't think he'd really ruin this city until after the convention, but he seems to not be wasting any time whatsoever.
Well, what about those violence interrupters? How are those working out?
Yeah. Oh, they're working out wonderful, aren't they? I mean, I can go on and on and on, especially about the pro-union mayor who couldn't be anything but more anti-union with every stance that he's taken. It's just, this guy is so clueless. He's taking taking advice from a guy who has no idea what he's doing in Jason Lee. I mean, nobody's even talking about a fundraiser still. It went literally half a day through a news cycle, a couple comments about it. Jason Lee's mother from Texas is doing fundraisers up here in Chicago. But literally, there's nothing to see here. I mean, it's just disgusting.
What about? I mean, I know you were encouraged by the choice of Snelling for police superintendent, but I also recognize that, he operates at the pleasure of the mayor. But what is that relationship like? What's your assessment of the job he's doing?
I couldn't be happier. We couldn't be happier.
Okay.
I'm not going to say everything's perfect, and I've had conversations with the superintendent. We've talked about certain topics. I wish there was a first deputy, number 2 in command. I think it would. It's been quite a long time to this point to not have a number 2. That's the one, I think, resounding refrain that comes from our membership is, the structure of the upper echelon of this department needs to be squared away sooner rather than later, especially with the convention coming up so quick, which is going to be a whole nother level of insanity, I think, that this city's probably not expecting. We can talk in platitudes and loveliness, but I just don't think that that's what's going to end up happening in the DNC convention.
Well, what about the
But
shots?
I do look forward to protesting shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters in Local 2 and the fire department.
Yeah.
Okay.
And real quick, Shot Spotter. How is that a good tool for you and all the officers out there?
Man, this whole argument is just so stupid, and the stance by the mayor's office. But it just goes to speak to where their mindset is, and it's about we don't want more people in jail because they're going to be black and brown. And I mean, it's this whole goofy black and brown argument, but that's the reality is they know ShotSpotter is an effective tool to alert the police to somebody with a weapon, and they don't want more people arrested. Full stop.
Is your relationship with Brandon Johnson, is it basically, I mean, it's not as openly hostile as it was toward the end with Lightfoot in terms of the press, being in the press, sniping at each other, but what is the relationship like with Johnson and the city council? Have there been any improvements since the Lightfoot reign?
Well, I mean, she was just mean, nasty, and vindictive. He's just clueless is about the best word I can use.
Well,
I mean,
he's mean, too.
He's just, I don't know. I'll give him credit. He did come to the lodge for our suicide dedication. He said nice things when he needed to say nice things, but his policies are just horrible, and it's literally like he's the Manchurian candidate. The far left got their candidate in, and I don't even know. He's like a puppet at this point. He's being told what to do, and we make the joke. He's like the dog that chased the car. He caught the bumper. Now he doesn't know what to do with the car. It's literally he's being told every single step and every single policy to engage, and it is slowly eroding the city. So it's a totally different approach. It's probably more destructive at the end of the day than the really kind of loud, mean, vindictive person that was there prior to him. But it's going to make 2027 a very interesting race, to say the least.
If we get there. John Catanzara, President, FOP Lodge 7, of course, Chicago FOP. John, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24